I think the Lord looks on Hiram Smith and he sees his giant heart and his desire to do good and please God, and I think he loves it. I think he's thrilled to see Hiram want to teach the word. But in section 11, the Lord kind of guides Hiram to slow down a little bit and to take some time to study his word. Not just because he needs to learn the gospel better that's just coming forth as the Book of Mormon is finally translated and available to study, but also so that his church can come forth and priesthood can come forth and he can be baptized and receive the gift of the Holy Ghost and all those things that will help him be a mighty missionary. So he's directed to kind of slow things down. And I think this is really critical for our kids to understand, because sometimes it's tempting to think they're going to learn the gospel on their mission. And although they will, the same way Hiram learned the gospel throughout his life, I think we want our kids to study the gospel first. Essentially, between section 11 and when Hiram actually is a missionary, about 9-10 months pass. So you could kind of see these preliminary years before your kids will ever step foot into the MTC as their Hiram time, their time to study up his word and treasure it in their hearts so they have a testimony that is solid before they can go out and try to teach the word. The way you can demonstrate this in object lesson form is to create a perfect star. So I'm going to teach you a trick. I remember teaching Violet how to do this once, and she covered our house. Our whole basement wall was filled with perfect stars because she was so delighted that she could make a perfect star. So you're going to hold up one that you have created. It's going to look like this. It will be perfectly symmetrical and balanced. No point is longer than the others. It will look lovely. And you're going to hold that up and then invite your kids to try it. You can see that it's possible. They can probably tell that it's a perfect star by looking at it. Hand them a piece of paper and some scissors and say, okay, I want you to make this. In fact, if you listen to me, you'll learn how to make 3 of these with just 2 cuts. But I just want you to use your scissors and try to make a perfect star. And even though they can see a perfect star, they know its shape, and they can probably get sort of close, the chances of them being able to make one that is absolutely symmetrical and balanced is pretty slim. It's really hard if you don't know how to make a perfect star. And that's kind of how Hiram was. He could see the Lord's star. He could see that this gospel that was coming forth through the Book of Mormon was so good. He could see its power, and he wanted to be able to share it with others. But he didn't know how. Like, he didn't have the priesthood yet. He didn't have the authorization yet. He didn't have the structure in place yet. And the Lord is saying, hold your peace, study my word, understand it more, so that when you do go out, you can show people not just that it's beautiful, but how they can get it into their lives. So this is when you're going to teach your kids how to make the star. I call it the triple star challenge, because you can actually make 3 stars with just 2 cuts. So if you go on the printable, I lay this out for you in picture form so that you can fold up your paper and make some cuts, and then magically when you unfold the cuts, you see stars. The first little cut on the tip will provide this small star. Then you're going to make another parallel cut a little further down, and it creates this hollow star. And then you open up the big paper and it creates this opening where there was a star. So you can see 3 stars with just 2 cuts. And then just talk to your kids about why this time in their life is so important. Whether your kids are 10 or teenagers, this is their pre-MTC time where they're supposed to study the gospel, let it sink into their hearts the way Hiram did, and then trust that just like Hiram, they will be called to a work. Whether it's in an actual mission with a tag on their chest or just living their life in a way that draws hearts towards Jesus Christ, either way, by studying his word now and by being patient with God's timetable, they'll be a more effective missionary down the road.